Welcome to Legal Keys, unlocking time, revenue, and results. The podcast that connects you with the people, technologies, and trending topics shaping the modern legal landscape. From cutting-edge AI innovations to high-growth marketing strategies and everything in between. Legal Keys is your go-to resource for actionable insights. Brought to you by Faster Outcomes and hosted by Tim Sawyer, two-time Inc. 500 co-founder entrepreneur. We're here to help you navigate the tools and trends driving success in today's legal world.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Legal Keys. I'm so excited today to have my good friend, guest, Adam Rossen. Am I saying that correctly? Rossen?
Yes, you are. Rossen.
Okay.
2 S's.
Got it. That's right. If you're joining us for the first time, we hope you enjoy the episode. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. If you've been with us for a while, we appreciate your loyalty, and we ask you to continue to like and share the podcast. As you all know, Legal Keys is brought to you by Faster Outcomes. Faster Outcomes is a legal intelligence platform for lawyers and law firms of all shapes and sizes, including family law, personal injury, and criminal law. And we've got Adam today, who is an incredible criminal lawyer. He's got a really cool journey he's going to share with us today. So if it's okay, Adam, I just want to do a little introduction, and then we'll get going. Adam is the CEO and managing partner of Rossen Law Firm, a leading criminal defense practice serving Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Former prosecutor with nearly 2 decades of experience, which is amazing considering he looks like he's 25 years old. Adam built his firm from a solo practice into a nationally recognized team of attorneys and staff, earning Inc. 5000, unusual for a law firm, Inc. 5000 recognition for 3 consecutive years. Beyond the courtroom, Adam is deeply committed to mentorship and leadership within the legal profession. He hosts the Success in South Florida podcast, teaches CLE programs nationwide, and developed one of the country's most unique criminal defense internship programs. I want to talk about that for sure.
Yes.
Adam is known for his belief that good people deserve strong defense when bad things happen, judgment-free zone, and that building great law firms requires both strong leadership and strong values. Adam, I appreciate you taking the time today, man.
Tim, thanks so much for having me here. So, you said I look pretty young. That makes me feel good. In 4 days, I'm turning 45. And so the joke that I have, okay, and this is a little bit of the criminal defense humor, is somebody will say, oh, you look so young or whatever. And I'll say, well, how old do you think I am? And they'll pick a number. I don't know, whether it's 38, 40, anything under my age, I'm happy. But then I say, well, that's great. I go, and it's because I have a young wife. And then I go, yeah. And then I pause and wait, we're trial lawyers. So we're trying to, make it a little dramatic. And then they start, and I go, yeah, we've been together for 12 years and she just turned 28. And then I wait and pause, and it gets really awkward because they do the math in their head. Right. And I go, no, I'm just kidding. She's 36. Yes, I'm 9 years older, but she's 36. So, but then, and everybody, so I'm like, yeah, that's what criminal lawyers, right? A criminal lawyer joke. Of course, we see it all. We do it all. Nothing phases us. But I like to mess with people that way. So, it's an easy way to be memorable.
It's funny. And so the first thing I was curious when I was reading through your bio and doing a little bit of research, this internship program, right? So I want you to talk a little bit about the internship program, but I'm curious as an outside observer, in terms of attraction, this young generation and the attraction to criminal law, is there a dip going on now? What are the trends, and are you seeing more people coming in, younger people?
So I actually see more people because of the social justice aspect to it with social media and everything. So we make ours, it's a criminal defense / social justice internship about really in trying to further the impact that we as my firm and criminal defense practitioners can have in our communities. So it's not just, oh, this sounds really cool. I love watching Law and Order. This is really about the impact in our communities. So it's actually grown quite a bit, but also we're in a different position where we're at now. I think what is this, March of 2026 that we're filming this. We've had our internship application officially open for about 6 weeks, and we've had over 200 applicants already from across the country. It didn't start like this from day one. This took 15 years to build, but we are flooded with applicants. And this summer we're taking 8 interns, 8 spots. Last summer we had 12. The summer before we had 13. This summer we have a little bit less office space this summer before we move into our new headquarters in the fall. And because of that, we can only just fit 8 and still give a really good experience to it.
That's incredible. I don't know why I'm surprised by that, but I hadn't contemplated the idea that people are more socially aware, right? And probably drawn to that. So the other thing that's really cool is I noticed a bunch of things I noticed that are really cool as I was doing some research on you. One is that you mentioned in here that you were in Inc. 5000, not easy to do, right? And so you're a business guy. Excuse me, you're a business guy too, right?
Yeah, well, so I've had the firm now almost 20 years. But really it started off from 2008 to 2015 with me and my old partner. We were doing criminal and immigration. I left the prosecutor's office at 26 years old just to go out with my roommate and coworker at the time. But we never grew. It was just the two of us the entire time. No staff at all. And when we split in 2015, that's when I immersed myself in first marketing. It was all marketing. I joined Great Legal Marketing, Ben Glass's group. Ben and Charlie are 2 amazing mentors of mine. And I grew, and because back then it's like I just need business. So I need money, I need clients. I don't, who cares about branding when I need another client today, tomorrow, the next day. And then we got good at that, and then it was, okay, well, what about the management? What about the business, KPIs and metrics? And I know your last episode that I listened to, you had Arjan Robbins on, and I'm in How to Manage. I'm in Arjan's group, and it's so focused on KPIs and numbers and metrics and running a real business. And I just found over the years that as much as I love being in trial, I still think there's no greater rush than being a trial lawyer and either cross-examining a police officer, giving a closing argument, or waiting for the jury to announce their verdict, right? Just that moment is so tense and there's so much stress and anticipation. But as good as I am in those areas, I absolutely love the business. And I think these are things that I can do that not a lot of people can do, but I can make sure to attract and retain and inspire the best criminal defense attorneys to work with me on my team, while then I can go and grow the business for all the collective benefit of everybody here and for our mission to do things the right way for our community.
That's cool. And it's funny that you said, when money is needed, little else will suffice.
Yeah. I'm like, brand, what's a brand? I need a client. You get these vendors that are selling people, branding. And it's like, no, like I'm grossing $100, $200, $50,000, whatever it is. Like there is no brand. And I get it, the way you treat clients. There is, especially the way you treat clients, the way you position yourself, all of those things are. Now where we're at, we focus a lot on brand. But back in the day,
knocking on doors. People
right, exactly. It's all direct response. It's all hustle.
Website palette. And you're like, dude.
Right. Now we have a brand kit. You can see my background, all these fancy things, right? So it's consistent, and that is very important, but not when you're first starting out, in my opinion.
So let's talk about that, right? Because there are obviously a lot of young lawyers that will be listening to this podcast. So when you made the break, so you were a prosecutor, and then you made the break, went out on your own, which has got to be scary as hell.
It was.
It's a lot. It's scary as hell. What are some of like the, folks listening on 2 fronts, right? So one is for younger lawyers who are like contemplating the same move, right? Should I do this? Should I partner? Should I go out on my own? So that's phase 1. Stay with me on this journey. So phase 1 is like, what are the really important, outside of drive and hustle and all that? And then phase 2 is, okay, I got some customers, and then how do you make the break to scale?
Right. So for me, phase 1 was extremely difficult because I was a prosecutor, and so I could not take any clients with me. Some public defenders, if you have 50 clients, can you round 20 of them up and say, hey, pay me $1,000, $2,000 to represent you, just so we have some revenue, some cases, something to get started. But you can't do that as a prosecutor. So my old partner and I, we were roommates. We were both 26 years old or so, but we had no families. I was single, he had a girlfriend, no kids, no nothing. So, as we get older and make more money, we start to spend more money. And then we have certain obligations, right? Whether it's, mostly to our family and to children if we have children. So in a way, we were too dumb to fail. We were too young and too dumb to fail. So that was one thing. Now, if you are able to take some clients and some cases with you, well, that can be a great jump start when you start. But you really need to, and look, I started in 2008 when I don't know what edition it was, but the only thing that was out there was Jay Foonberg's book on how to start and build a law practice. And it's still talking about fax machines and different things, even in 2008. And so now there's so many different amazing coaching groups that you can join, different masterminds, big ones, small ones, medium ones, some that are industry or niche specific. So there's so much data and information out there. But really, you need to think it through, have a plan, and then treat your clients well and just be a good person. That definitely helps. And you'll be surprised. One thing though about starting, you'll be surprised that there are, if you're a good person and you treat people well, and if you're nice to your colleagues, there will be a lot of lawyers in your practice area that may want to send you some easier cases or lower value cases, or in criminal law, maybe cases that were conflicted off, like co-defendant cases. So being a good person and developing those relationships with your colleagues is very important as well.
And what percentage of your business, I'm curious, Adam, is referral business from other?
That's a good question. I used to know that, like everything, when I was in charge of everything. And now that I'm not in charge of everything, I don't know, but I can tell you this, we have tons of referrals. We do a lot to nurture our referrals, but it's relationship based. But one thing that we have in the office is and this is very special to me, and this also talks about keeping track of referrals, but also the impact that we have in our community. We have a counter, like a ticker thing. It's called a SMIRL counter, SMIIRL, something like that. Got it online. The Instagram algorithm got me, but as of now, we're over 1,500 referrals that we've gotten since 2018. And we count them every week. We have it in our office. Everybody sees it. We talk about it at meetings. And what we say is, that's a measure of our impact. And for every referral that we get, we donate a pair of shoes to children in need through a local charity called In Jacob Shoes that I'm on the board of directors on. So we tie it all in together. And that's a great way for us to, and this is whether the client hires us or not. Just the act of giving and referring it to us triggers a donation for shoes to kids in need. Measure the impact, right? So since technically December 2017 is when we started, it's over 1,500 pairs of shoes.
Wow. Well, how does it, again, this is all about advice and education, right? So that's a mind shift thing. I feel like I talk to a lot of lawyers and some, they miss that piece. There's community development, right? It's like really important, and referrals are a really important part of your business. How are you, if you said, hey, for folks listening, here's a couple things you might want to think about outside of being a great human.
Right.
My son is a software sales guy, and he always says to me, Dad, because he does demos all the time, and he goes, my best ability is availability.
Yeah. Well, in a way, that's the hustle. Right? But that's the hustle. I mean, yeah, that's how we built the firm. I mean, I always think, especially in my niche, the first $500,000 to $1 million in annual revenue is just heart and hustle of the owner, the founder, the lawyer. And then it's everything. Okay, now, we're at that. How do we break $1 million and turn this into a real business? And that's the real hard part. I think anybody can hustle. You're a halfway decent lawyer. You treat your clients well. You hustle really hard. You're always available. You can hit $500,000 to $1 million in revenue just from that.
Just
right. Just grind. PI might be a little easier than criminal, different things, but beyond $1 million, to really scale to that $1 million to $3 million to $5 million and beyond, that's where you have to really learn how to run this like a business, and that's extremely hard.
And where are you? So what research, the other thing I'm fascinated by, and we were talking before we hopped on, I went to this really cool mastermind group it was amazing. I was grateful to be invited. And where do you seek mentorship, motivation?
Right. So I'm in groups, right? So I'm still a member of Great Legal Marketing. I'm still a member of How to Manage. I love those groups. I have mentors that have been in the groups and then started their own thing, and just whether it's texting or whatever. But one thing that's been a huge key for about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So we have a fractional CFO, and our CFO works with a lot of successful law firms across the country, and we run on EOS. And so we're in maybe one of our quarterlies, and he said, Adam, you know everybody. And I'm like, no, I don't really know everybody. But he's like, no, Adam, you don't give yourself a lot of credit. You know everybody across the country. There's all these personal injury private masterminds that you can't get into and nobody talks about, right? And they're more like peer groups in a way. Yeah. And they go, Adam, you need to start your own. And this is from the money, the numbers guy saying this. And I'm like, Paul, you're right. You're spot on. And so I thought about it. I made it one of my rocks for the next quarter. And I'm like, well, do I do it local? Do I do it national? Do I do it criminal defense only? Do I branch out to just some of my friends in PI and family law? And I settled on criminal defense only across the country. So we've had our group now for about a year and a half. It's a peer group. So it's not a money-making venture for me. I put it together, but we're all equal. So in a way, it's more like I'm an EO, entrepreneurs organization, like an EO or forum or a YPO group where, and I don't knock, like people that are running masterminds as a for-profit business is amazing. And I'm probably going to do that at some time in the future. But there's 11 of us criminal defense lawyers from across the country. I think there's about 60 million in annual revenue in the room, which for criminal defense is pretty impressive. I know that's nothing compared to the PI guys, but there's 11 of us from all across the country. We're all peers. I put it together. We have a monthly Zoom. We meet up 2 to 3 times a year. As we're filming this, I'm flying out to Dallas tonight for our 3rd ever in-person meeting. We're going 2 days. And we're bringing in an AI vendor, and we're building in Claude Code and Cowork over the next 2 days. So we can, talk a little bit about AI and stuff. But it's just so cool to see what other successful people are doing. And revenue-wise, I'm probably the 7th largest or so. And so I can look and go, wow, right? My friends who are way bigger than me are doing this, and this. And then also look at the people who are slightly lower than me, and and just we collaborate and share, and it's been so good. Our very first
people get involved in that.
Well, for us, it's we started off with 9, we added a 10th, and we added an 11th. I don't think any more than 12 is too many. Like my EO forum, it's supposed to be between 6 and 8, right? And that was one of the problems that I had with some masterminds that, I'm sitting there and we're doing a mastermind for a year or 2, and there's 20 people in the room, and I'm just sitting there saying, too many people, the money from the facilitator or the owner is made on the last 5 or the last 7. And so you bring in, and before you know it, 14 becomes 18 and 18 becomes 22, and then it's diluted, and we're not getting enough of the value that I wanted from it. So that's why we're deliberately keeping it small. Probably, I don't see us going above.
Got it. All right. Well, so if someone is listening, there's room for a couple more at this point that you're thinking.
Yeah, if somebody's listening, reach out. I think we're anywhere from, I don't know, at least like 2.5 million and above, maybe, at least. So we need some common threads of you have to have multiple lawyers, you have to have multiple employees, you have to have different departments of intake, sales, marketing. It has to be run like a real firm. But there's tremendous value in other masterminds for practitioners that are just, earlier on in their journey. I'm not going to say lower or higher because I don't like using those words, but just earlier on maybe, and have a little bit smaller revenue.
You know what I find fascinating, and then I want to talk a little bit about your thoughts around AI, is so I've been in the legal space now coming up on 18 months, I guess, in market.
Well, welcome. You see how crazy we are?
Well, what's interesting? Yes, I have this conversation a lot. Yes, there's some big personalities in the space for sure. But I'm amazed. So I've spent time in mortgage. I'm an entrepreneur forever, right? So mortgage, insurance, healthcare, elective healthcare. So plastic surgeons can have pretty big personalities. Those
guys, that's true.
Particularly down in your neck of the woods, they can have really big personalities down there, Palm Beach in particular. But I've never seen this level of willingness with big, bold personalities to collaborate. The best lawyers are constantly seeking to be challenged, right? They're not afraid to go in a room with, like you said, 10, 12 other guys who are doing a little bit more, a little bit less, whatever it is, and challenge each other. That's unique. I think that's really freaking cool. And I'm wondering, like, where's that personality type come from? Like, what's the common thread between I'm going to be a lawyer, whether a prosecutor or criminal defense lawyer or PI guy, and someone who's also willing to say, and I'm going to challenge myself constantly?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, there's a massive difference between the people I hang out with than the people who go to the bar functions. The bar functions, it's the practice of law, right? It's the technical aspect. And then it's, oh yeah, I'd like to grow a little. That'd be nice. I'd like to have a better quality of life, whatever. But it's all about the technical skills. The worlds that I hang out with, it's, the technical skills, you have to be good to even get in that room, but it's less about that because most of us in the room, we don't practice law anymore. I don't have a caseload. And most of my friends in that room and some of the places I go to they're not the technicians anymore. But I mean, I think it's more about the entrepreneur journey, but I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know if the plastic surgeons and the doctors, I mean, there are a few that are entrepreneur, but I still think most of them, they get their value and their identity from being a lawyer. So I've done a ton of mindset work where I think most of us in the legal field that are at this level and way above, we're kind of broken in some way. And I think the mindset stuff really helps. A lot of the groups that I'm in are huge on mindset. Arjon's group, it's so big on mindset. And I'm in, David Nagel was Arjon's mindset coach, and he runs his own program. So I'm in David Nagel's daily mindset program. Every single day we have like a 20-minute mindset call, and it's been so instrumental for me for that. But I don't know if it affects lawyers differently than other things, because I'm also in entrepreneurs organization, EO, and I joined EO specifically because I didn't want to be around service-based professionals who are highly skilled. I wanted to be around a guy, one of my former mates owns a car wash. And he makes so much money. We literally had forum, and another one was a cleaning business. And literally our forum last week, it was, guys, we need more boring businesses. Laundromats, car washes, commercial cleaning. And they're making so much money. Now, they don't have a bit of the ideas of wanting to do good for the world and give back and stuff, right? They're just pure like entrepreneurs. But I want to be around them because I want, when I've had struggles in my firm, I talk to them about it. They're like, oh, I haven't been there, done that. Let me tell you, how many times I've been bankrupt or almost bankrupt, right? And don't worry, don't stress. Because as lawyers, we're perfectionists, right? Because we're so professionally skilled. And so I try to get away from that and be around other people.
That's smart. You have a great mindset, speaking of which.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
It's been developed over years.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about how you're thinking about AI. Obviously, it's on everybody's mind right now. I'm an AI guy. You're a smart business guy. How are you thinking about AI on two fronts? One, as it relates to the practice of criminal law, and two, as it relates to at an enterprise level, how are you thinking about AI to scale the firm?
Yeah. So, I mean, as it helps us with the practice of law, I mean, there's like body cameras are fantastic and amazing. And it took so long for us to get them. And they've been here now for a while. But I can tell you, a lot of these lawyers, a lot of my competitors, they don't watch every second of every footage. How can they? Even a simple DUI that takes 30 minutes, right? If there's 4 police officers there, that's 2 hours of footage. And then there's transport. You're going to spend another 30 minutes with one officer transporting the guy to jail. And you need to listen to that to see, did our client make any statements? Or did they violate his Miranda rights on a simple car ride back to the station? And it's so hard to do. Now, we do all that. We watch every second. And we watch it intentionally, not just listen to it while we're sending emails, right? Like I know a lot of people do that. So anything that can help us synthesize that information, summarize it, give us transcripts from it, make it where it's even the videos are searchable and categorize all of the discovery. That's something I'm working on right now. I'm an investor in a company called Trial Kit, it's an AI company. I know the owner, Ariel Deshi. I just had him on my podcast. I met him at the ABA Tech Show and was like, wow, finally there's a product for me. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, is this some BS, thing that that's like a wrapper on top of ChatGPT? And we talked. And for 6 months we talked, and I'm like, and I demoed it and played with it. I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually, this was built before, what was it, ChatGPT 3.0 awoke and broke the internet, or 2.5, whatever it was, right? 3 years ago. So that's been huge for us to use TrialKit in that. But then we're using a lot of other things as well. And I'm actually now getting deep in Claude, in code and co-work, because I find it fascinating. And I'm just like, this is, do I DIY it? Do I hire companies? I don't know, because I don't
hire us.
Exactly. Well, that's, and Tim, when we spoke. No, but we spoke we were together on a panel 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I know today's like a quick little thing, but I'm like, I need to talk to Tim and see all the cool stuff that they're doing, because this is going to help us grow like a rocket ship, or that hockey style growth. It's really going to push. You're going to have the best of the best that are using all the tools and technology, and then you're going to have the solo lawyers, and kind of like in a way like medicine. You're going to have the solo lawyers that have a lifestyle practice, and then you're going to have the big conglomerates, and there's not going to really be anything in between coming up, especially with private equity coming.
Which is a really cool development. So yeah, we have, we don't get super promotional on the podcast, but yeah, we've got a really cool application for criminal law, and neat.
I want to play with it. Yeah.
What's coming up next for you? What do you got going on?
Well, let's see. I mean, we're getting some massive, big cases. We're able to help so many people. We're doing, the firm's great. It's rocking and rolling right now. We're looking to expand geographically, but I want to be intentional about it. I certainly don't want to open an office on the west coast of Florida and not be able to run the office right, manage it right, make sure we have, or have an attorney or two who's not living up to our standards. So we'd already be a statewide law firm if I did not care about the level of service and work that we did, because we'd be high volume, low fee. We'd be a chop shop, just churn them and burn them. And so I don't want that, because this is so passionate to me. So we want to have growth, but it has to be done right. But also this year, I'm looking into the MSO model for the firm. I'm looking at it as a way to roll up a bunch of criminal defense lawyers, because I talk to a lot of lawyers across the country, and even especially in Florida, and they're like, Adam, I do 100 things every day or every week or every month. I just want to do 2, and it involves being a lawyer. And then I say, great, let's talk, right? But we haven't had an acquisition yet, so we're still working on that to have people come on in. Well, actually, we had one. It's small. It's a very small acquisition that we've had. But we're looking to, instead of me starting maybe in geography from scratch, finding somebody who has a good name, who's a good lawyer, lives our core values, can uphold our standards, and just wants to be an amazing lawyer, and let me and my team take care of the rest. So we're really trying to get involved with a bunch of roll-ups and put it in an MSO, not because I want private equity money now, but just because I think it's a great way for me to grow for us faster. And then I got other ideas. I personally think family law is ripe for this as well. It's hard to break into PI, but I'm big on estate planning, probate, and family law.
What's interesting is that's our second largest constituency is family law when it comes to AI usage.
Oh, I think they could do a ton with it.
Well, it's funny because, Adam, people will say to me, whether I'm at a family law conference or talking to a family lawyer, like, okay, so how can faster outcomes help my business, my law firm? I'm like, it depends. Do you want to be more efficient or less efficient?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Billable hour problem.
Right. Well, like for us,
they react funny to that. They're like, oh,
mm-hmm. Right. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's where look, Arjan just talked about it, and he's been talking about it for years. The billable hour puts the lawyer in conflict with their client. I hate. I have friends that are my lawyers for things. I hate being billed hourly because I don't want to talk to them. And we do all flat fee in my firm, and I think it's so much better for the attorney-client relationship. You want to meet, look, there's 3 of us, 3 lawyers working on your case. You don't have to worry about being triple billed. Come in, let's talk. If we need to talk for 2 or 3 hours, we'll do it. Let's do it. And if we can make ourselves more efficient and create better, faster value by using technology, we shouldn't be punished for it. Because right now, the ABA and the Florida Bar are punishing billable hour lawyers for that. So I think there's going to be a bit of a shift towards the value-based flat fee billing. And I know a few people have done it in family law. It's hard.
Yeah, we see it more and more, and obviously that type of client would be attracted to us, right? They're like, okay, so you're taking 3 years of financial information, trying to juxtapose that to a financial affidavit. It's a lot to go through that, right? And AI can go through that pretty quick, right? So
Absolutely. Right. Exactly. Like for me, I need body cameras. I need ways to synthesize body camera, but for family lawyers, it's the financials. Yep.
yeah, absolutely. So you're speaking coming up, right?
I am. TGR Live.
Where are you going to be? TGR Live?
Well, I'm not speaking on stage, so you're speaking on stage. I'm an ambassador and I'm hosting power lunches. So we have Monday and Tuesday. So I think there's maybe 10 of us that are picking different topics or different things that we do. And then I think it's just come hang out at our lunch table and let's talk. So I'm excited for that.
And it was amazing. We had a really cool guy. And as we wind down, it was interesting. The topic was strategic planning and looking at financial information. So do you do it quarterly? Do you do it annually? And people were talking about strategic planning, financial strategic planning. And I got in this really cool conversation with one lawyer who ended up becoming my client, and how entrepreneurs think a little differently about that stuff, right? Because while there's quarterly and this is actually, it's minute by minute planning in early stage entrepreneurship. But we're always thinking about how do, we begin with the end in mind. So before we get one customer, we think, okay, 5 years from now, who's going to buy this? And then we manage to that. Right.
Which is the way to do it.
And you go, what? Because it's like, if you have, and you're a smart entrepreneur, right? So, your house, you've got your house and this stuff, different places that you really don't want there. Well, if you're never going to sell your house, you don't clean it up, right? But if you're managing to, hey, I want to sell my house for $3 million, $5 million, whatever that is, you're like, oh, I gotta fix that, because in 2 years, I'm going to have a buyer.
Right? But here's one thing that I don't understand. Because the best lawyers, the best family lawyers, the best PI, the trial lawyers in PI that are litigating and going to trial, the best criminal defense lawyers, we are always thinking and beginning with the end in mind and strategizing from that point. I've been telling clients that's the way that I practice law since I started my firm in 2008. And if we're so, if there's a subset of us, the litigators really, that are so focused on that and so good at that, but I would even say people doing complex and high-end estate planning, that's the way that they do it, right? Building trusts and different things. Why are we not doing that in our businesses? What is it about lawyers where you can do it for someone else, for their problem, but you can't see it in your own business? If that's what you want to do, is build and grow and think about it, right? So I don't know why that is, but it didn't occur to me for my business until being in Ben Glass's mastermind in Great Legal Marketing for a few years, because if you asked me in 15, 16, 17, what do I want? I'm like, I don't know, more money, more cases, right? And then finally, we started honing in on that. Finally, we started using EOS. And by about 2020, it's, we got our 1 year plan. We got our 3 year plan. We got our 5 year plan. And it changes every year, well, not the 5 year, not further out, but right, the shorter ones change and modify. But now we're very clear on that. But it took me a long time. And, time and money and having the right mentors and coaches.
The last piece I'll leave you with is you're thinking about this MSO model, because we also work in healthcare, and that's very popular. I've owned clinics myself. I've been an owner of an MSO. And I think one of the attractions to your acquisition strategy is exactly that mindset, right? So there's this group that we're working with in healthcare. They're aggregating all these aesthetic clinics, and the value prop is they have a date that they're going to go to market with private equity, and it's based on the collective revenue of all of them, right? So as you get, the more scale you get, the more attractive you are to private, you get a bigger multiple. So with some of the changes that are happening in the law firms, right, particularly out of Arizona, that's the coolest business model in the world, right? Because you provide better back office support, the stuff that's the brain damage, right? That people that you're really good at, they don't want to deal with. And that's what changed healthcare, right? Healthcare was, you're a dentist. You're like, hey, stop running a dental practice. Just be a freaking dentist, and we'll handle the rest, right? And so I do see that trend. And my mindset, to your point, I think that's the best tagline for this is mindset. Mindset will absolutely, people with the right mindset are going to take advantage of that. And the ones who do it first are going to be the ones who get the biggest bang.
Right. Well, it's already started this year in PI. There's some of the big PI players, and it's happening in some of the the digital legal marketing companies already are getting rolled up into PE. It's happening. And my thing is, as long as we stay true to our core values, we'll be fine. But I'm not going to sell out. Well, I don't want to sell. I want to be the one that's building it, right, and rolling it up. And part of that, I'm not looking for an exit or anything. I don't know what I would do with my life. I'd be bored. But it's really about staying true to that and the core values. And look, and if you just want to, like some of my entrepreneur friends say, I want a boring business, I want to make tons of money, not work that hard, I really don't care about impact in the in the world or the community, that's fine too, because then through some of their charitable efforts they can do those things. But for me, it's so much tied to my identity in the business that I want it to really run through that way. And I don't want to be looked at as somebody who, oh yeah, Adam, they used to have a great firm and then they sold out and then it went, it went downhill from there, like a lot of companies.
2 private equity exits myself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny how people react. Some in the insurance space, no one cared. In the healthcare space, I got some of the nastiest texts in the world. It's like, bro, I sold my business. How is that personal to you?
Right. Yeah.
And but that's the trade-offs, and it is what it is. Listen, what a great conversation, and you're freaking amazing. I can tell you're going to do really cool things, and I think you have a lot that you can bring to the space. So I certainly, anybody listening that's thinking about maybe in trying to scale a little faster, certainly I would give Adam a call. Katie, my marketing director, mentioned that your branding is really cool. That's her thing. So
perfect.
What's the site?
Now it is.
Yeah. What's the site? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so RossenLawFirm.com. That's the website, www.Rossen, Rossen, lawfirm.com. You can find me, I think I'm pretty much anywhere and everywhere. I'm spending a lot of time on LinkedIn right now. Obviously, the firm has Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, but I'm spending a lot of time on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get my followers up, my connections up, having a good time having some cool conversations with people. So yeah, but I'm easy to find. I mean, my email is adam@rossenlawfirm.com. I love this. I've had so many mentors in my life. Even 2 weeks ago, we were in Orlando and we won the Grow Florida Award for one of the 50 fastest companies, growth companies in Florida that are like second stage companies, like 1 million to 100 million. And I'm sitting there and my wife's there, but I'm getting very emotional. And I'm texting all my mentors, just saying, with a picture of me on stage, I'm saying, thank you. Like, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much. Can you remember where I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, before we started working together? So I'm just very grateful and thankful to all the friends and mentors. And any way I can, help, I want to. People reach out to me all the time, and I always will talk to people.
You're an inspiration, my friend. I appreciate you taking the time today. Appreciate those folks who, like I said, took time out of their day. If this was your first episode, hopefully you enjoyed it. Continue to like, share, follow the podcast. We're grateful for your viewership. We hope you have an amazing week. And as always, Legal Keys is sponsored by Faster Outcomes. Faster Outcomes is the ultimate AI-powered legal intelligence platform for lawyers and law firms of all shapes and sizes. Have a great week.
Bye.